Hello investors and traders, welcome back to the Trend Trader channel. In this video we will be talking about semiconductor companies. So these could be companies that manufacture the semiconductors or companies that design semiconductors. We know that microchips are used everywhere, whether as CPUs, GPUs, or anything that needs microprocessing. We know that all of that is done using microchips or semiconductors. So we're going to be looking at 5 different companies. So that means that the video is not covering all the semiconductor companies, but we're just going to be looking at 5 semiconductor companies and then look at 2 ETFs. So we'll just give technical analysis of these different companies that we want to cover today. So we're going to start with Nvidia, because this is the company that we've been talking about for quite some time now. Those people that are following us on social media, you will know that we've been trading Nvidia for a while. While we were trading Nvidia, we noted that there was a time when Nvidia came to test this previous resistance level. You can see that the price initially it failed to break above this level. So we're looking at how the price was going to perform as it came back to this level. Luckily, when it came there, there was also a bit a high volume there, meaning that there were buyers that were pushing the share price of Nvidia Corporation up there. So as soon as the price broke above this level, we had a buy stop order. We wanted to buy Nvidia as soon as it broke above this level. In the past, we mentioned that we do use buy stop orders, especially if we want to buy something that is breaking above a resistance level. So that's the kind of a setup that we took with Nvidia, and then we had our stop loss just below that week's candle. We are looking at the weekly time frame. So I think we took the trade using a daily time frame. So we just got in immediately when the price broke above this level. As you can see, that was just below $200 per share. The share price of Nvidia at the moment is somewhere around $277, and that is near this high here. So we are sitting to see what is going to happen with the price. We don't expect much of a resistance around this level. Remember that you still have this level there at the top, just below $340 US per share. So we still have our Nvidia position, and we would like to see the share price at least continuing to trade all the way up to reach at least $340 US per share. So this has been a profitable trade. As you can see, it tells us that Nvidia as a company has been on its own bullish market, but before that happened, it's because the stock broke above that previous resistance level. You can see that the momentum was in there, the momentum was high, also the volume was there. We always like to use a combination of high momentum and high volume setup. So this is one of the best trades that we have taken so far since the beginning of year 2023. If you look at the time frame of the chart, we are looking at about 2 years worth of information, but the decision was just based on this breakout level in there. So now what do we do since we already have this position? We noticed that Intel was also at a point of breaking above its resistance level here. You can see that it has been trading sideways, consolidating there, and then broke above this level in here. You can already see that there is a big amount of volume. So now the price is just a couple of dollars away from what we would consider to be the breakout level point, but this is just less than $3 in there. If you look at the ATR, which tracks the volatility, you can see it's $2.60. So it is still within that volatility level of Intel. So this is a position that we are considering taking. At this moment, we've already sold some portion of our Nvidia shares, but we used that money to buy Tesla, but we are considering taking a position on Intel as well. However, what you should keep in mind is that we've got this overhead resistance level in here around 3550. So if Intel manages to break above 3550, then the other overhead resistance level is somewhere just above $42.50. So if you take a long position here, you will expect that there could be a brief price slowdown around this level if the share price continue to move up. So this is another potential setup that a trader can take. We don't have a position on Intel yet, but we are considering taking a position in there. And then let's move on to AMD. So now with AMD, we do have a position. We took a position on AMD. This one, we just took a position as soon as it broke above this level. Remember, we already have a working position on Nvidia. We saw a setup with Intel as well. And there was this setup on AMD, so we took a position on AMD. Again, we're noting this level here around 102. You can already see that the price is finding a bit of a resistance in there. But if the entire sector, the semiconductor sector, is bullish, then we won't be surprised if the share price break above this level and then continue to trade higher. You can see the previous high based on this chart, because if you zoom out, probably it has traded above, but just based on this chart, you can see that the high price there is around $150 per share. So if Nvidia or if AMD can manage to break above 103, 105 US dollar per share, then maybe over time it might go up to test that 150 level in there. So we have a position on AMD. It's not a big position compared to Nvidia because we took Nvidia first, but we already have a position here. Just keep in mind that around the 8th of April, they're going to have earnings release. So expect some volatility when those result comes out. So that is one of the things why we love using a trading view. We can see when the earnings are coming. You can see previously all the green earnings. It means that the stock beat the estimates, and then where it is red, it means that there was an earnings miss. So you can see that in February they were able to beat the earnings expectations. So we'd like to see how they are going to perform now in April, if they're still gonna be able to beat the earnings. If they do, then there might be a catalyst to push the share price further up there, right? So now let us look at Taiwanese TSM. We have a position here. In fact, this, I think we took the position on TSM before we took a position on Nvidia. Again, the reason for taking the position is very simple. The share price broke above this level, so we were happy. We took a long position. You can see here there was that above average volume when that breakout happened. So we've been holding. You can see that the share price of TSM it went up before trying to pull back to retest that previous breakout level. Now we can see that the share price is moving up. So now what is going to happen? We've already added this bounce in there, but we are looking to add more shares if the share price break above this level. It will mean that if that happens, we would have bought Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing 3 times. Every time we take a second or third buy, remember we bought just below $81. The second buy was above or somewhere around $85. If we do take a third buy, it will be somewhere around $94. Every new buy that we take, it's always greater than the previous buy that we take in terms of share price, but in terms of size, it is always going to be half. So for example, if we bought 1 share here, then we would have bought half a share at this level, and then if we buy around 94, we will buy a quarter of a share, because we want to ensure that whenever we buy, we are pyramiding. The more we go up, the less risk that we are taking, and also when we buy, we will keep on shifting our stop loss to ensure that the initial positions, it's either we broke even on those positions or we're already locking in some profit, because remember the stock market is not always going to go up. So as the stock market goes up, it is important that we make money, because we are only in the market to ensure that we make money. We are not there to just kill some time. So lastly, the company that we want to cover is Analog Devices, ADI. All these companies are listed in the US. You can buy them depending on the broker that you are using, whether you are using Easy Equities, eToro, or it doesn't matter which broker you are using. You can see that ADI has been consolidating around this level, and then again we see this nice breakout here that is accompanied by an above average volume here. So we are happy to see this. This can just be, for us, it could be a swing trade, because we already have a position on Nvidia and AMD. We can either take this position on ADI, or we can take that position on Intel. So not sure yet which position we're gonna take, but you can already see this is a nice proper setup there that we are interested in taking. You can also note that the price is above this previous level in here, so it means that we can expect the share price to go up. There is no guarantee that the share price can go up. If it goes up, great. If it doesn't go up, we always have a stop loss just below our entry level to ensure that we protect our capital in case the share price reverses. So I've already covered 5 stocks. I said that I will talk about 2 ETFs. So these ETFs, the Eck Semiconductor ETF, it tracks the 25 ETF or 25 semiconductor companies in the US. Remember, we covered 5 companies, and we mentioned that there are a lot of other companies that we are not going to cover. So sometimes if we see a lot of setups from the same sector, because we don't want to be too concentrated in the same sector, because, well, if we buy all those 5 companies, we are not diversifying. We are instead concentrating, and that won't help us much. We might as well just take our money and put it in one company, because they still operate in the same sector. So whenever you're facing the challenge that you are getting setups from a similar company or similar sector, it is better to consider the ETF. So we're looking at this Eck ETF. We see that it broke above this level. We also see a series of higher lows, which tells us that the ETF itself is on its own bull market. You can see the last 3 weeks, all the volume bars were green. It means that the buyers were accumulating this share. Whenever you see a lot of red bars like this, you can see that the sellers, they're actually distributing, or they are selling the ETFs. So this is a nice positive move that we see there, and then it is accompanied by that breakout. So as an alternative to buying all these 5 companies, you can just consider buying this SMH ETF. We will show you a bit information about the ETF, but in terms of technical analysis, the ETF is setting up bullish there nicely. If you don't like this SMH, you can buy this other ETF. It also tracks, this one is coming from BlackRock. If you are using Easy Equities, chances are this ETF is there on Easy Equities. But it's not about a broker. People use different brokers. You can already see, we see a similar setup there. The share price was moving up, then it was consolidating, then there was a breakout following that consolidation here. You can see, but the price of this ETF, it's about $444. The previous ETF, the SMH, is just below $300. It's 200 and something there. Again, you can see this nice consolidation for the past 3 weeks, telling us that buyers have been accumulating this share. We can also see this higher a low that has been happening in there. So these are all a combination of positive setups. All this information is derived from technical analysis. We haven't said anything about the company, the profitability, the management, all those kinds of things that value investors look for. We can just use technical analysis to find some lucrative opportunities in the market. It works whether you believe it or not, but yeah, it does work. So going back to the FunEd website, you can see the information about the ETF. They say that it replicates the listed 25 or Semiconductor 25 index, so it's 25 companies that should be here. The company has a total expense ratio of 0.35, because we know with ETF buyers the total expense ratio is something that is important. The ETF distributes once, so it distributes annually in terms of distribution. Then you can just browse through to look at the performance of the ETF and the top 10 holdings. You can see they have Nvidia, TSM, there's AMD, there's analog devices, and then there are other companies that we did not cover in the video, such as Broadcom, Qualcomm, Texas Instrument. You can also look at these companies and see how they compare with the semiconductor companies that we spoke about. So yeah, this is something that you can consider. So in terms of distributions, you can see the company only distributes once, so I don't see the information about distribution. They just show the hypothetical growth of a 10,000 investment. You can go there, but we all know that previous performance it does not reflect what is going to be the future performance. So if you look at the distributions going back all the way from 2011 coming to 2022, they started around 70 cent distribution per ETF in 2012, and then now the distribution has grown to over $2.40. But you can see that in 2019 it was $2.12, and then there was a decline there in 2020 and 2021, and then in 2022 it recovered to $2.40. So we all know that the market fluctuates a lot. It's something that we expect, nothing new in there. Okay, so I think what the information that was missing was the price of this ETF. I'm just trying to find the information about the price. I saw it somewhere. Okay, but you can still find the net asset value of the ETF. It doesn't matter whether we find it here. It's $263 per ETF. Then now let's look at the iShares, the BlackRock ETF. The expense ratio is the same. It's 0.35%. And the price of the ETF, it's $444. You can see that the net asset value year to date, it's up by 27%. So it's been nice on a bullish move there. And then there's a lot of information that you can see the distributions when they distribute. You can see this one, it seems like it distributes quarterly. You can see June, September, December, and March. So yes, it does distribute on a quarterly basis. And there's a lot of information that you can find there. You can see the distribution frequency is quarterly, and the total expense ratio, I've already mentioned that it's 0.35%. And then when we look at the holdings, we've got Nvidia, Texas Instrument, AMD, Intel, ADI, and some of the companies that we did not cover here. This one, it has 30 companies compared to SMH, which has 25 companies. So that's it that we wanted to cover today. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And if you found value in this video, please smash the like button. We always welcome comments in the comment sections. And that's it. We'll see you in the next video.